KJ Wright from the Seattle Seahawks, and you are watching NorbCam.
This is Walter Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf from
Today Burleson. You're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam. You're watching NorbCam.
What's happening, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you on another Bleacher Report live stream. Today, talking about the draft, the Seahawks draft in particular. Looking back at it, kind of breaking it down, all 8 picks that the Seahawks had, and looking at their pros, the cons of these players, what Coach McDonald and GM John Schneider said about them, and just getting right into it and giving my grade at the end of what I thought of the Seahawks draft. My name is NorbCam. Again, my name is NorbCam. Love it if you would follow me here on Bleacher Report, as well as on my social media channels down below at YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, and on Facebook. And yeah, let's just get right into it. The draft was exciting for sure. Things kind of started out a little bit like clockwork with the first few picks, but then once Atlanta took Michael Penix Jr., that just ensued all kinds of chaos. In particular, the run on quarterbacks early. I particularly was a little bummed because I was hoping that Penix would drop to 16 just to make it interesting to see if the Seahawks might make some kind of play on Penix. And word has it that they were trying to possibly trade up to get him. Obviously, it didn't work out. And the Falcons, as a major head scratcher, went and took him, Penix, at 8. And then, boy, it was just quarterback after quarterback. 6 quarterbacks taken in the first, 12 picks of the first round. Crazy. What's going on? If you guys have comments on what I'm talking about today in the Seahawks draft, please feel to put it in there. As Max Berger in here watching. Appreciate you joining the show. But yeah, it's and then after that, it was like, well, okay, we're not getting Penix. We got to hit the trenches. That's exactly what they did on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to get right into it with the first pick the Seahawks made in the first round. That would be number 16th pick, Byron Murphy, defensive tackle out of Texas. This is a big dude, but not big in height. 6'1", 297 pounds, quick, 4.87 40-yard dash. And right away, intriguing in the sense that they immediately, the comparisons to Aaron Donald were being made. Anytime you can compare it to that legend, that's pretty awesome. He has a good build, strong lower half, so he has a quick get off. So he's able to penetrate the offensive line right off the snap. Strong upper body, so he can get extension against offensive linemen pretty easy. This dude's hard to block. It's just like he just refuses to be blocked. One-on-one, you can't really do it. So, again, the comparison to Aaron Donald, where you got to double team this guy, I'm hoping that this guy's going to draw a lot of attention. That's going to open up things for all the other defensive linemen to get pressure in on the quarterback. Keep the comments coming. Dallas Dixon, so the Falcons, in my opinion, have one of the more head-scratching drafts. Absolutely. St. McElroy, love the Seahawks pick. Factor Crab, why do people say the Falcons effed up, I think is what to say. Max Berger, Norb, is this when you start posting on Bleacher Report? This is new. I just started this just the past few months. Kind of a new thing. So, yeah, thanks for joining on here, Max. Again, St. McElroy loves it. Factor crap. They have a 35-year-old quarterback who's coming off an Achilles. True, but they just guaranteed $100 million. I guess they're thinking future, but still, Penix isn't going to be, he's going to be putting on age while he's sitting there waiting for his turn, unless he ends up taking the first spot. And Bird is the word. Good draft for Seattle for sure in a while. All right, let's keep this breakdown going. He's a pure disruptor, and Coach McDonald calls him talented, versatile, aggressive, violent, flexible in the pass rush, and John Schneider called him the highest graded player in the draft. Thus, they were not going to trade out and pass him up. High motor, pass rusher, tackles for loss, everything you'd want. Not much to say, but I guess areas of improvement could be that he doesn't have the ideal height for defensive tackle, but then again, Aaron Donald didn't either. Might need to work on his pass rushing techniques a little bit as far as his hands are concerned. And he has a tendency to dive when tackling sometimes, which can lead to missed tackles, which we do not like. So hopefully that's something they can clean up in practice here as he joins the squad. All right, so let's continue moving on. Keep the comments coming. I'll try to address them as I can. Brody Brungart says, I like the draft, but didn't understand drafting two corners. Thought we would at least draft an edge. You read my mind, man. I was going to break that down myself and talk about that. Completely on the same page, man. A little bit of head scratcher late in the draft, and I'm going to get into that a little bit and talk more about some things I didn't love about this draft. All right, so let's go into the next pick that the Seahawks had. That would be in the third round, pick 81, Christian Haynes, a guard from UConn. 6'3", 318 pounds, 5.03 40-yard dash. Not that we really need to get those numbers as far as the linemen are concerned, but they do it anyway. Arguably the best guard in the draft. So I was not sad when they picked him up. This was, I thought, great. Immediately going to the position of need that the Seahawks have and best player available. It's nice when you got both in the same spot. Physical blocker, natural leverage and mass. He's got just good proportions, explosive movement off the snap, so he's able to move around the ground with ease, which is great in case he needs to pull for those pulling guard situations. Run blocking, he's got searing explosiveness. Works well against nose tackles, stealing off gaps. Elite knockback power. What? Are you kidding me? That's exactly what we need here to get more of our run game. And spatial awareness. Good sound run blocker. And he relishes the chance to bury opponents, latching onto them with violent energy, is quoted in one of the breakdowns on him. Pass protection, anchors with a wide base, tight hands, good core strength, controls his reps from the start, good hands and feet coordination. Just great overall ability to keep the quarterback and the pocket clean, which is just what the doctor ordered. Where he could improve on, again, doesn't have the ideal height as some other guards might have, but he compensates with it with his other strengths, and he could work on his ability to block at the second level, but that will come in time at the pro level. John Snyder says 51 starts, had 48 pressures in 1,687 snaps. I like that number a lot. That ratio is pretty sweet. He's experienced with all the starts he's had, speed, and he's smart. He got a master's degree. He had 6 years during his time at UConn. So kind of overall just great pickup in a position that we desperately needed. All right, so then things got interesting. Since we didn't have a second-round pick, that was our third-round pick. And then the Seahawks traded their 102nd pick and the 235th pick to Denver in exchange for a 121st, 136th, and a 207th. So they moved back a few spots and also gained another pick in the process. And in the process of doing so, in the fourth round, they took at 118 Tyrese Knight, linebacker out of UTEP. 6'1", 233, 4.63 40-yard dash. I like this move. Again, going right in order of the list of needs that we had to address. Defensive line, offensive line, and linebacker, knowing that our linebacking core obviously had been depleted. Picked up a couple guys in free agency, but those are all one-year deals. So we're looking for guys that can be our future for years to come. And Tyrese Knight, this could be the guy. He's good run instinct. Consistently positions himself to make tackles on the play side. Uses a good shoulder dip to slip blocks. Good sideline to sideline range, which is so important in this scheme to be able to move quickly and chase down those running backs off the edge or in pass coverage. So he knows he has good angles and good speed against those outside runs. Zone coverage. He's got good eye discipline in zone coverage. He can anticipate routes well. Positions himself to cover the threats in his area, something that has driven us a little bit crazy even with the return of Bobby Wagner. I think that loss of step made it to where none of us were that surprised when they didn't bring him back. As painful as it was to say, it felt like that was a area that was hurting the team, and hopefully this guy Tyrese can make up that difference. He's good at reading the quarterback eyes, so being able to anticipate where he's going to go with the ball. Areas of improvement. He's a little bit lean, so I could probably bulk up a little bit, put some weight on. Pad level on making it tackles probably could improve a little bit. I think the whole Seahawks team could have a clinic in tackling as after watching last year. But overall, a good pickup. Coach McDonald says he sees the game quickly, good instincts. He moves to the ball before everyone else, so he's strong to the point of attack, good tackler. Overall is what Coach McDonald had to say about Tyrese Knight. All right, let's go on to another fourth-round pick 121. That would be another position that I was thinking, here's the order we need, and lo and behold, they did it. A.J. Barner, tight end out of Michigan. Love this pickup. With Will Dissly being gone, we needed a good blocking tight end, and this guy fits that role perfectly. Coming off Michigan with their national championship. Barner's got good size. Oh, yeah, 6'6", 251, big dude. 4.84 in the 40, not bad. But he's got good size, big frame, capable of effectively playing in line and excelling in run blocking scenarios. Good solid speed, and able to get separation and cover ground pretty quickly. And what he's best at is be able to contest and win aerial battles. So when he does have to go and get the ball, he uses that long frame, his height to his advantage. And he's got great play strength in both receiving and blocking. So in an interview, I think he said, if you want me to go up and catch the ball, I'll do that. If you want me to block, I'll do that too. I love that attitude. So great replacement for the loss of Will Dissly. Where he could work on maybe is just continuing to develop every aspect of the tight end position. I think obviously there's always work in progress, but the raw tools are there. McDonald says he can block, runs a pretty significant route tree. He'll be helpful in the kicking game and special teams. John Schneider says he's good run after the catch guy. Thinks he's underrated and says he's good at run defending the C gap. So again, guy can catch, he can block, everything you ask for in a tight end. So great pickup there. I was loving what we were doing moving forward. So then we move to round 5, and we pick up at the 136th pick, cornerback Nehemiah Pritchett out of Auburn. Now, this is kind of where I was at this point saying, I would love to get a, edge rusher here. We've addressed all these needs. Edge was one that I felt like we needed to address, preferably earlier, but, without having a second-round pick, kind of hard to do. But they go corner, and which is fine. I mean, we'll talk about the cornerback situation in a minute, but let's talk about this guy, all right? Because we do have some guys who are in here kind of on, again, a lot of one-year deals for next year. So these, I think they're looking for not necessarily immediate impact, but down the line, and competing at the position, but also thinking, well, we're going to need to figure out what's going to happen after next year while we got these other guys temporarily, particularly filling in that position. So back to Nehemiah. All right, so this dude is 6 foot, 190 pounds, so he's average height, not your biggest, of the Pete Carroll era, not the big type corner, but quick as heck. 4.36 in the 40. Strengths, extremely long limbs for a guy who's not that tall. Long limbs, so he's good at press coverage and contesting passes, 50-50 balls. Top end speed, as I said, is impressive. So he's fluid, twitchy, can accelerate quickly, and can recover quick when he's out of position. It's good at reading the quarterback's eyes, anticipating throws to get a jump on the ball. Areas he can work on. He plays with kind of a high pad level, which can lead to him getting stuck in the breaks. He's very handsy. He uses his hands a lot, which, back in the LOB days, we used to get away with a lot of handsy stuff. But that could be an area that could lead to penalties if he does that too much. And he's got to do a little bit better wrapping up during tackles. And again, that's the theme of last year's defense overall. But McDonald says he sees him as an outside corner, definitely a special teams guy, and will compete with the rest of the corners in our on the team. And John Snyder just simply said, "Guys got speed. Feel the need for speed," and that's what they got from him. All right, so moving along now, we drop down to the round 6, and then we pick up in the 179th selection, Sataoa Laumea, guard from Utah. It was kind of funny because watching the call, John Schneider couldn't get him on the phone initially. He had to call his agent and say, "Where are you, man? I want to draft you." Anyway, so the strengths, he's got good mass, big dude, girth, but he's fluid in the way he moves. Good quickness out of the stance, so he's able to hit his target, knockback power on his blocks, and he excels on jump sets. He's got firm, tight clench, knows how to anchor and end-to-end reps quickly. He's able to just move and secure rush lanes. Areas of improvement, he's kind of uses a little bit of high pads when reaching the target, making him a little bit vulnerable to defenders who are kind of shifty. He might be leaning a little bit too much there. Laumea tends to overset wide rush alignments, so sometimes maybe overrunning the play, leaving some players exposed by overrunning and allowing the inside penetration, which is never good. Struggled a little bit in pass protection, the Senior Bowl, just with punch timing and hand placement. So, again, a work in progress. Definitely a good depth move here at a position that we found that we've always find depth is a big need on the line when injuries start to pile up. Schneider says he's huge, tough, and aggressive. That's how he describes him there. So moving to the 192nd pick, this was a little bit of a head scratcher because they go cornerback again out of Auburn again. So we got a duo of cornerbacks out of Auburn. This one, though, I like the guy here. DJ James, cornerback out of Auburn, 6 foot. Again, not the tallest in the world. 175 pounds, 4.42. Pretty good speed in the 40. So DJ James, he's experienced. He played a little bit at University of Oregon before transferring to Auburn. Good length, good speed in the position. He's probably got to put on a little weight, 175 pounds, a little bit on the slim side. But he's got high potential. So I see this as a depth move, definitely a special teams guy in a crowded cornerback room. Coach McDonald says he can play inside and outside, so he can play nickel as well as outside corner. And John Schneider said of both these guys from Auburn, said they're both talented cover guys. So, would have liked to have seen them maybe make a move for edge rusher. At this point, it was like, man, can we get one now? But they don't. Instead, they go with round 6, pick 207. They get Michael Jarrell, offensive tackle out of the University of Findlay. Good mass, moves pretty fluidly, good initial quickness off the jump. Needs to work on hand placement, strike consistency, and pass protection. But the guy's 6'5", 309, 4.94. So for a lineman, pretty decent size, pretty quick. He was a former basketball player, so the guy can move all right. So again, see this as a depth move, a future move, work in progress type of thing. So yeah, that's where we wrap up with the 8 players taken in the draft. Let's see what the comments here are. Let's see, where are we at here? L Bird is the word, says good draft for Seattle for sure in a while. Brody Brungart. I like the draft. I didn't understand drafting 2 corners. Oh, I think I said that. I said I agreed on that same position. Max Berg, I was kind of out of the loop on this year's draft. Didn't know anyone beyond the 3rd round, to be honest. It always gets a little bit, unless you really do your deep homework, it is sometimes you do start to hit those names. You go, who's this guy? Quickly look it up and try to find out who they are. Jace Knoll, is just me that's confused on why we signed 4 O-linemen, then draft 3 more? Don't feel like we need so many. Nick 808 said, it's just you, LOL. Naruto Uzumaki 23. I like the double cornerback draft. It was valid. We can't run Spoon and Woolen into the ground. We need reps from everybody. That's true. But we do have like 10 cornerbacks on the roster right now. If you include Kobe Bryant, who kind of can play safety and corner, 10 corners currently on the roster. So again, just would have loved to have seen an edge rusher here. So let me get into my grades. Taylor Riggs says he liked this draft. So yeah, overall I liked it. So here's my breakdown. I give this a solid B. This draft a solid B. We had 7 picks going into it. We were able to trade back and get one more. So we got 8 picks total. So in that order, the first 2 were slam dunks, and that immediately was an A. Byron Murphy, probably the best tackle in the draft. A defensive tackle, and then Christian Haynes, probably the best guard in the draft. So you got 2 of the best interior guys on the board, and they fell right to you. And that kind of helped with the whole run on quarterback, sort of changed the boards a lot and allowed us to get Byron Murphy, because I did not think Byron Murphy would drop to us. I thought we would have seen him go before, and that we might end up picking an edge rusher or go with offensive lineman earlier. So it kind of worked out that we had these 2 guys fall where they did. So that right away just worked out great, especially not having a second-round pick to get one of the best guards in the draft. So, and then I didn't like the fact that they pretty much for the next 3 picks, they addressed the critical needs in the order, starting with, so they went tackle, guard, linebacker, tight end. Those first 4, I love those picks. And then cornerback, that's kind of where I thought, do we really need another corner? I felt like I would have liked to have seen them go for an edge rusher in there. We could have maybe found some diamond in the rough. They didn't draft any edge rushers at all. Now, there are the undrafted free agents, which are being kind of finalized right now. So I think there are some there. But, maybe if they find some diamond in the rough, but usually, edge rushers, you got to get those guys early. So that's the only thing that I was a little bummed out about, that they didn't pick, that they didn't get an edge rusher. And C. Harris 154 says, why didn't we draft a safety? And that's a good point there too. Again, we did address these positions in the offseason, cornerback and safety as well, but almost all those deals most of them were 1-year deals. I think there's one of the other, I can't remember if it was a safety who had more than 1 year. So, yeah, we didn't draft the safety. Could conceivably, any of these extra corners, could they hybrid play, switch to safety, potentially? So we'll see what they end up doing with all these guys and see which ones will last. Every year you have a draft. There's always some guys who become the names that you kind of go, okay, we hit on that one. And then you look at the rest and go, man, that guy didn't stay. That guy didn't make the team. That guy was cut. That guy got released or whatever. So you hope that if you can get at least half your guys to be on the roster for more than a season or 2, you're really killing it. It's tough, though. It's tough. Most of the guys you won't hear from. Besides hearing their name in the draft, they're not going to really contribute. So unless we struck gold, and we just haven't found that out yet. So again, I give the Seahawks a B on our draft. So quickly before I go to the end of the show, which wraps up in about 7 minutes, just looking back at the other NFC West teams, this is kind of look at how I broke down the other drafts from our division. I would probably say the team that improved the most from the draft would have to be the Cardinals. I give them an A- on their draft. First of all, they had 12 picks. That's practically an entire side of the ball, and then some. 12 picks. They got the best receiver in the draft, Marvin Harrison Jr. They also picked up a defensive end in the first round, Darius Robinson. And so, you think of look at these other teams' drafts, and you just go, man, we're going to have to deal with these guys. Our corners are going to have to cover this guy now. We're going to have to deal with protecting against Darius Robinson. And for the rest of their draft, they practically addressed every position on the team except for kickers and quarterback. They got wide receivers. They got offensive line, defensive line, safety, running back, tight end. So definitely by quantity, they were able to get so many positions addressed. And Cardinals were pretty badly in need of some upgrades. So they definitely helped themselves in this draft, made themselves a little bit scarier in the West. My next team that I thought had a pretty good overall draft were the Rams. I give them a B on theirs, same as the Seahawks. They had 10 picks. They got one of the best edge rushers in the draft, Jared Verse, who I had coming to the Seahawks if they didn't draft an offensive lineman. So Jared Verse, we got to deal with him now. They also got defensive tackle Braden Fisk, who comes in to fill in the void where Aaron Donald left, retiring. They also got a really good running back, Blake Corum from Michigan, who I didn't watch a ton of other teams' college balls, but I did see this guy running against UW in the championship, and this dude is pretty tough to take down. So we got to deal with another tough running back in our division. The final team, I gave the lowest grade to with the 49ers. Gave them a B-. They had 8 picks. Their first pick I was a little bit surprised at, but maybe not entirely so given the questionable nature of their wide receiving core. They go wide receiver with Ricky Pearsall, who wasn't a receiver. I was really kind of like, oh my gosh, they got Ricky Pearsall. But as I was hearing from the 49er, Wayne, the 49er content creator who was live streaming with me and Mike from the Cardinals as we were watching this draft unfold, he was just worried that they would be, trying to trade Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel as the early moves in the draft were happening. Once they got past the point where it's like, okay, those guys aren't going anywhere. Picking up this guy, I still feel like, they could have addressed other needs. They have other needs, offensive line, D-line, but maybe they got to figure out the future because, as I said a long time, the 49ers have been in a position where they've had this core dream team of just ideal, exceptional talent. But that window where they can keep all these guys together has been starting to reach the end of it. So they're starting to address other positions. And Wayne says of the 49ers, says that this receiver, Ricky Pearsall, is a pretty good system guy in the Shanahan tree. So we'll see how that actually goes. But yeah, so I gave the 49ers a B- on my overall assessment. So I went Cardinals A-, Seahawks B, Rams B, 49ers B-. So we'll see how it goes, right? We all did our mock drafts, and really I pretty much got none of these right, except I did pick Byron Murphy early on in one of my first mock drafts, since, again, our biggest issue last year was the defense. So bad. And I'm glad they did address that. They needed to address linebacker. They needed to address defensive line. I felt like they hit that pretty solidly. They went overboard a little bit on the corners, but maybe they know something that we don't as far as what these guys can do on the field. Let's see what else comments we have in here. We got Arose 12. I think Kobe will convert to safety. Yeah, he's kind of listed as both a corner/safety hybrid. And I know everyone's thinking the same thing, that with Jamal Adams leaving, did we need to get more in that position? But, really we have temporarily addressed it in free agency. But again, there's all the undrafteds, right? And you think of some of the great players that come to mind of undrafted players who made an impact. Doug Baldwin, undrafted. It's hard to believe, right? Doug Baldwin, one of the best receivers the Seahawks have ever had, was an undrafted free agent. Probably because he's a little dude, just overlooked during the draft. And you never know. Maybe we'll get some guys off the UDFAs who will make an impact in a way that nobody knows their name right now, but pretty soon they will. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up my take on this. I appreciate you guys. For those of you who watched and commented, I appreciate your feedback. We're going to continue to do live streams. I think the next live stream I've got coming up is going to be a reaction. Definitely doing a reaction to the schedule when it comes out. So that's going to be, it's always a fun time of the year. The draft is great. The schedule is another all-anticipated event when we finally get to see when we will be playing these teams. We know that the team the opponents for 2024, but what time of the year we're going to be playing them, that's always the big mystery of when those games are going to happen. So for people planning those away game trips, you can start booking their flights. But that won't be till next month. And I think I got another draft coming up here, or another live stream on Bleacher. So feel free to subscribe. Follow me on Bleacher here, and again at my social channels down below where I do other content, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, and on Facebook. I did do a comedic reaction of the NFL and Kirk Cousins to Michael Penix Jr. being drafted by the Falcons. So check that out on my other social channels. And we'll wrap things up. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And go Hawks. See you next time.